Hey, what's going on? I have a little message that I want to share. A lot of times in the world, I hear people say it's not what you do, but how you do it. And, when people say that, a lot of times they're just trying to justify the wrong things that they're doing in order to get away with it, right? Ways to get away with the wrong things. However, if you just take that phrase just by itself, there's a lot of truth to that. It's actually true. It is not what you do, it's how you do it. So, like in the law, there is such a thing as like the you judge it by the intention, right? So you have homicide versus manslaughter, and the only difference is the intention behind it. One is intentional, the other is accidental, and so therefore they're viewed differently. And that's actually taken from the laws of Moses, and that gives you an insight on how God views sins. So not only that, though, it also gives you an insight on how God views any action, even quote unquote righteous actions. So, a big theme of Jesus's ministry was exposing the Pharisees because they were doing the right things. However, Jesus would come back and critique and say, yeah, you're doing quote unquote the right things, but you're only doing it to be seen by men, or you're only doing it for this carnal reason. And he would really expose the heart of the matter. That's why the scripture says God looks not at the outward appearance, but he looks at the heart. So I think about Saul, who became Paul, and when he encountered God, right? Saul was persecuting Christians, he was murdering Christians, and he was on his way to Tarsus to kill a bunch of Christians. When he encountered God, God said, "Why persecutest thou me?" Right? And I think about the question why, right? Why? Why are you persecuting me? It wasn't that God was so interested in the persecution. Like God is like, oh, he's killing all my Christians. Yeah. No. Because the Christian, he dies and he goes to heaven, he's in a better place. It was really not that deep for God, right? Because if it was about the persecution, he would have just killed Paul and just got rid of him. But God asked him, why? Why are you persecuting him? He was interested in the motive, what was driving him to persecute Christians. And I do have some insight on that as it relates to Paul, but the message here is like, you know, there are a lot of people who are in sin, who are doing the wrong things, but God is interested in what's really driving them to do those things because it's his desire to take that motive and revert it into purity, to take that thing that's driving them and change it in order so that they can serve him, right? And vice versa. There are a lot of people who are quote unquote doing the right things, but they have perverted motives, right? So a lot of times in this world, and a lot of times it's kind of confusing even for me. I find myself to relate a lot more to people who aren't Christian, but they're driven by a good, I would say a good, but they're driven by something that I can relate more to, right? As opposed to people who are Christians, but what's driving them, I can't relate to.